This started off as a video about a silly bad movie that no one seems to have talked about. Then I went down a rabbit hole of numerology, conspiracy theories, and evolutionary psychology. But if that doesn't sound interesting, apparently during this movie, Jim Carrey went pee-pee on set. That's pretty weird. We're talking about 2007's smash hit film The Number 23, starring Jim Carrey and directed by Joel Schumacher. This is their second film together following Batman Forever, which is forever protected by Batman and Robin. If that hadn't come out, everyone would remember how bananas Batman Forever was. It is absolutely as ridiculous as its sequel, also directed by Joel Schumacher. By the way, The Number 23 is an edgy, very serious, very sexy thriller about a dog catcher whose world is unraveled by a book, about a detective whose world is unraveled by the 23 Enigma. We'll get more into the movie later, but first I want to be slightly more responsible than the movie is and do a little bit of homework for you. By that, I mean I'm going to explain the 23 Enigma so we can get started talking about numerology.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
Numerology is a pretty broad term, but it boils down to putting magical, occult, or divine significance into numbers. Like saying that a natural 20 on a die is special instead of realizing there's just a 5% chance it's going to be a 20. If you believe in dice curses, congratulations, you're on the path to believing in numerology. In terms of ologies, it's a lot more astrology than biology. But also like astrology, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Maybe you have a lucky number or got one from a fortune cookie. If you're using it to help guess the jelly beans in a jar or plan anniversaries or dates for better luck, that's fine and fun. So for now, let's assume numerology is fine and fun and 23 is part of it. But why is 23 part of it? Throughout the movie, there are so many examples of how the number 23 seems to pop up everywhere. The tropics of Capricorn and Cancer, two lines that mark the northernmost and southernmost high points of the sun, are at 23 degrees of latitude. Most humans have 23 chromosomes from each parent. Important historical dates can add up to 23 if you take their digits. To use an example from this movie, King Charles I was beheaded on the 30th of January 1649. 3 dropping the 0 from 30. 1, 6, 4, and 9, you get 23. Seems like a bit of work. A bunch of these pop up right at the beginning of the movie, rapid fire, so you don't really have time to check them. You just kind of have to accept the math and move on.
We'll just nod along to whatever he says. I mean, it's gotta be easier than what we're doing now.
So, 23 happens a lot, in a lot of places, a lot of dates. But like, so? Is it good or bad? Another example. Shakespeare was born and died on April 23rd. I guess we don't have to care about months anymore, by the way. If both his birth and death correspond to 23, is Shakespeare just a neutral guy? The US declared war on Germany on December 11th, 1941. 12 plus 11 equals 23. I guess we're not counting years anymore. But the US joining World War II is probably good. Nazis are bad. It seems like they are because Hitler killed himself in April of 1945. 4 plus 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 5 is 23. But I guess we're not doing the dates anymore. As the movie describes it, 2 divided by 3 is 0.666, the number of the beast. It's actually 0.6 repeating, so it's like 66666 until you get sick of saying sixes and say 7 to round up because the next number is 6. So actually 23 bad, which means Nazis good? This is the only thing that really describes any morality behind 23 beyond it being a number that's in a lot of places. There is actually an explanation of why the number of the beast is paired with dates. It's pretty important to the 23 Enigma, and it's weird that the movie doesn't bring it up because this is where it gained cultural traction in the real world. It's presumably what inspired this movie to be written. The Illuminati.
The Illuminati will see you now.
The Illumawati?
Brief aside with the Illumawati thing. Steven, what do you mean Illumawati? Has Stephen Strange not heard of the Illuminati? It's a secret society that runs the world. Is that a foreign concept to you? Hydra controlling S.H.I.E.L.D. was less than 10 years ago. You're part of a secret society of wizards, and there's scrolls on the earth. Half of the people in the MCU world are involved in a secret society. The real Illuminati is kind of boring and not actually in control of everything. Behind the Bastards is a great podcast that just did a big 6-part series on it. In the last episode, they mentioned this movie. It's been on my schedule on Patreon since the end of February, and the episode dropped last week. Coincidence? We'll talk about coincidences later. Short version, the Bavarian Illuminati was founded a long time ago by a dude who wanted governments that weren't run by religion and abortion access, so he tricked rich people into giving him money to pretend to teach them magic. With that money, he funded an illegal newspaper about secular government and abortion access. Then, one of their members was struck by lightning, dropped their papers, and it all got busted. No more Illuminati. Later, in the 60s, a group of counterculture types, one of whom who was being investigated for the Kennedy assassination, long story, decided to mess with the investigators with something called Operation Mindfuck. They chose the name not me. The big idea was that they could help people reach enlightenment by messing with everyone's concept of reality, basically just gaslighting on a major scale as a prank. Two of them wrote a satirical trilogy of novels, the Illuminatus trilogy, about a secret society that controls the world. They would mess with each other by writing it in chapters and handing it off to the other, ending the chapters they were writing by painting the next writer into a logical corner they couldn't get out of. Part of the series is the 23 Enigma, presented with the members of the Illuminati who are controlling the world, making major historical events take place on days that add up to 23. That is the shortest possible version of that story I can give you. There's a lot of weird twists and turns that I didn't mention. Check out Behind the Bastards, not a sponsor, just a fan. Keep in mind this is supposed to be a funny fiction book, but a lot of people took it seriously and started looking for 23s. What's weirder? They found them. Isn't that a coincidence? Now we get to talk about evolutional psychology. I promise we can start talking about Jim Carrey going pee-pee soon. Pattern recognition is one of the best parts of being a human. It helped stop us from eating poison, find food, invent agriculture, and click on thumbnails with bright yellow text and red arrows. Pattern recognition is instrumental in creating language and math, so society, and everything else we have. It's the reason we're the dominant species on planet Earth. It all comes from pattern recognition. It also helps you do what I'm gonna call cool math for kids. A funny book tells you about the 23 Enigma, and now 23s are everywhere. Now your brain is trained to passively see the number 23, and I'm not talking about the movie. It's not streaming anywhere. You actually do have to actively find it. After enough passive 23s, your brain's pattern recognition department begins to validate the hypothesis that 23s are actually everywhere. And now you're roped into the greatest evil of all, doing math for fun. Remember how sometimes we counted the years, sometimes we ignored the years, and sometimes just did the months and dates, and for how Hitler's suicide we skipped the freaking date? Well, that's because all we have to do is hit 23, or 32. Yeah, sometimes it's 32, but that's 23 reversed. Wait, but isn't 3 over 2 1.5, which has nothing to do with Satan? Guess we're not counting. And 2s and 3s. Basically, you just need to bring it down to 2 and a 3. Or a 5, because that's 2 plus 3. Or a 6, because that's 2 times 3. Or an 8, because that's 2 to the third power. 2 times 2 times 2. Or a 9, that's 3 to the second power, or 3 times 3. So, if you can use the dates on a calendar to equal 23, 32, 5, 6, 8, or 9, ignoring the actual date of the month or the year, or with that year, you just drop the front 2 letters of the year, however you want to do it, that's now 23. Also, every month has a 23rd date. Just counting those plus February 3rd and March 2nd, that's 14 days of a 365-day year, 3.8%, a little worse than the odds of a natural 20. See, this is still kind of about D&D. Thanks to the turn of millennia, you automatically get more dates with the year. Since the year 2000, the highest number you can get by adding the digits of the year was 2019, or a 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 0, for a total of 12. That means dates that add up to 11 or 20 are now added to your 23 total. That's January 10th and 19th, February 9th and 18th, March 8th and 17th, April 7th and 16th, May 6th and 15th, June 5th and 14th, July 4th and 13th, August 3rd and 12th, September 2nd and 11th, October 1st and 10th, November 9th and December 8th. That's 22 extra dates for a 9.8% chance, or roughly a 1 in 10 chance. I forgot. We also can ignore the year entirely. How many dates in every year add up to 23 or 32? January 22nd and 31st, February 21st, March 20th and 29th, April 19th and 28th, May 18th and 27th, June 17th and 26th, July 16th and 25th, August 15th and 24th, September 14th, but if we don't add the 23rd since that's already 23, October 13th and 22nd, November 12th and 21st, and December 11th and 20th. That's 22 more days, 15.8%, which is around 3 over 20. 3 over 20, god damn it! Also, did you know there's like a lot of days? 15.8% of a sample size of all the days is pretty big. But we can shrink the sample size by starting with the founding of the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. May 1st is 5-1, 5 plus 1 is 6, which is 2 times 3 in case you were wondering. We'll end it on February 23rd, 2007, the release date of the number 23. The only 23 in there is the date of the 23rd, kind of on the nose. So my math might not be exactly right here, but we're gonna round to a little over 84,000 days. 15% of that is 12,601 days. Can you name 12,601 days of notoriety in that period? To be fair, I guess the Illuminati didn't have to hit every 23, but it seems like they weren't even trying. Another thing, the Illuminatus trilogy came out in 1975 and was very popular. Lots of the 23s you see in media since are just fans of the book, or fans of Michael Jordan. Every 23 after 1975 is now tainted data except 2012. Remember how we all thought the world was gonna end in 2012, like how the Mayan calendar ended there and people thought that meant the world would end? Well, 20 plus 1 plus 2 is 23. And that was a big point of citation for 23 believers until 2013, when the world didn't end. Aw, Awkward. But why would you do all this math before talking about how Jim Carrey made a pee-pee on set, which we are going to do, just be patient. It's because math is fun, and math being fun is really, really dangerous. Let's talk about conspiracy theories.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Conspiracy theories are like Tinkerbell. The more you believe in them, the more powerful they become. Belief in one conspiracy theory makes you more likely to believe another. It's such a potent snowball effect, people will believe conflicting conspiracy theories. For example, the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th were actually Antifa in disguise. That's a popular conspiracy theory in right-wing American politics. Another popular conspiracy theory, January 6th wasn't violent. It was a fully peaceful protest and the media manipulated it to look violent. Those two should be mutually exclusive. Either it was violent Antifa, or the protesters weren't violent and the media is making them look bad. But people believe both at the same time. And here's where I make an important point. People who believe conspiracy theories aren't stupid. It's easy to look at someone who believes a conspiracy theory and think that they're dumb people who got easily duped. But smart people are much better at getting into conspiracy theories and cults because they're better at justifying the inconsistencies to themselves. Think of it as a logical wall, like a video game boss. If you're underleveled for that fight, or stupid in this case, you'll hit a 23 boss like, there are so many places for 23 to happen, it's just not all that significant of a number. And you'll respond to it with like, oh yeah, true, bye. But if you're smart, you'll start looking for counter-arguments like, it doesn't have to be every 23 days, the dates just have to be 23 when they happen. And beating bosses gains experience points, which pushes you deeper into the conspiracy theory hole. Conspiracy theories are more likely to catch on with people who are isolated or distressed. Start with a cool math for kids game like the 23 Enigma, and you'll make a long video about it on your channel that's supposed to be about Dungeons and Dragons. What the hell? Obsession can be draining on the people around you, making you more isolated, and more conspiracy theories are bleak. So, someone should consider starting a conspiracy theory that there are secret pangolin people who are really nice and just want to make the world eat more bread so they drop crumbs and create more ants. They're everywhere once you start looking for them. The deeper into a conspiracy well you dive, the harder it is to dig out or be dug out by a loved one. You probably have a relative or a friend who dug pretty deep these past few years. Proportionality bias is a human feeling that the bigger the event, the bigger the explanation. If some world-shaking event happens, like, I don't know, global pandemic, it has to have a world-shaking explanation. The simple explanation that a respiratory infection that was easily transmittable and had delayed symptoms would spread through a populace that refused to stay home won't work. It's gotta be weirder. Similar conspiracy booms come out of the Kennedy assassination and the moon landing. Both seem like terrifyingly simple shakeups or ludicrous scientific achievements. And both of those happened before we had the internet and social media algorithms designed to keep you on the site by making you scared or angry. I just wanted to do my due diligence and make sure none of you join QAnon because I told you about the 23 Enigma. It isn't anything. It's two of the lowest prime numbers that can be arranged in a lot of different ways. Saying that they are the lowest common denominator is not a figure of speech. They are literally the lowest numbers that can be denominators. Now, let's talk about the movie that made Jim Carrey go pee-pee on set.
So what is this? What is 23?
The number 23 started off as a script written by Fernley Phillips, who you might know from The Number 23 and nothing else. How did someone get their first movie to star Jim Carrey and be directed by Joel Schumacher? Those are pretty major names. Is it the Illuminati? No, it's something more sinister. Nepotism. Alyssa Ferguson was an associate producer for a more major producer, Beau Flynn, who would eventually start producing almost all of The Rock's movies. For now, he did not know what he was cooking. Part of an associate producer's job is reading a bunch of scripts, and Alyssa found Fernley's numerology mystery, The Number 23, and called it probably the best script I had ever read in my entire life. Okay, but she was also working for Beau when Bubble Boy came out, another movie he produced, meaning she probably read that script, so like, I doubt that. This was all in 2002, and the movie was stuck in development hell so long that Alyssa and Fernley got married. Cute story, I guess. Haven't followed up with them since. Joel Schumacher was brought on as a director and asked Jim Carrey to star. Another weird coincidence. Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman Forever, which was also directed by Schumacher.
Every riddle has a number in the question, and they arrived in this order: 13, 1, 8, and 5. Perhaps letters of the alphabet?
Of course, 13 is M.
1 would be A, 8 would be H, and 5 would be E.
Also, the Riddler used numerology in that movie. Carrey was already fully on board with the 23 Enigma, and this is 2006. Wonder if that conspiracy hole has gotten deeper. It has. He changed his production company from Pitbull to JC23 before he even read this script. So when the script starts off with a dog, mind blown.
Now this is a story all about how
You've concerned yourself with minutia and you've drawn wild conclusions from them.
It actually starts with just like a little bit of racism too. Jim is playing a dog catcher named Walter Sparrow and gets a call right before his shift ends to catch a dog. For some reason, he needs to tell him a little racist anecdote about the Chinese eating dog. This is after he kind of made fun of a Chinese business owner for not speaking English. He's gonna let that go, but since it's immediately followed by this weird parable, and we're not 10 minutes in, I'm counting it. The dog bites him and runs away. That makes him late to meet his wife for his birthday. Hey, look at that cake! This was 2007. Were subscriber buttons even a thing? Well, subscribe, everyone. The movie is telling you to, not me. While he's a little late to the date, she has found a book called The Number 23 in a bookstore, read the whole thing, and bought it for him. So now we're doing the plot of the book in the movie. The book is about a detective named Fingerling. That's not right. No. Okay, how many times is he gonna say fingerling? I bet it's 23. That's actually all he gets to in the first night. I guess his wife reads faster than him. The next day, he has to talk to a psychologist about his dog bite to make sure he's not homicidal towards dogs.
What would you do if you came across him again?
If I was in my truck, I'd accelerate until I heard a thud.
Also, shouldn't he get like a rabies shot? Isn't that the first thing you do when you get bit by a stray dog? The answer is yes. If you learn nothing else about conspiracy theories or numerologies from this video, get a rabies shot as soon as you can if you're bitten by a stray animal. He gets the next day off. Chapter 2 starts off telling him to imagine himself as the main character, and then...
You know, hon, this fingerling guy reminds me of my life. It's so weird.
Buddy, it told you to do this. You're pretty susceptible to manipulation. He's also a really bad dad. That's going to be a big running trend. Percy Jackson is supposed to be like 13, maybe even like 12, actually, with something we get later. And when Walter sees Fabrizia's picture in the book, he's like, hey, check this shit out. She's some sort of deadly woman in this detective's life, but it's hard to see because the film is all black. More on her later. We just get some sexy Jim Carrey sex scenes for now. Is that something you want to see? Some sexy Jim Carrey sex scenes? No, sex scene discourse is a thing, but nobody wants to see Jim Carrey in one. All right, hey, this next part of the video deals with suicide. I know that can be a sensitive topic for some people, so just skip to this time code if you don't want to watch that. Short version for the skippers though, Fingerling meets a lady obsessed with the 23 Enigma, and now he's into it too. So, Fingerling goes to meet what he refers to as the suicide blonde, and I do see a similarity between him and Sparrow.
Come any closer and I'll do it.
Well, if you don't, it's my birthday today. Look, I love my job, and I'm good at it. Come on, let's talk. If you're still bummed, I'll put one right between your eyes.
My favorite job for detectives is suicide prevention, personally. He's really just hitting her with the don't kill yourself, you're so sexy. She tells him that her dad killed himself because of the 23 Enigma, which brings us to our second suicide. First one was in chapter 1 of the book, but I hadn't put the content warning up yet, and it doesn't really matter. If only Fingerling could have hit on that guy too. Blondie is really deep in it, saying even pages of books have 23. Yeah, most books make it all the way to the 23rd page. Maybe this one didn't though, since Walter's wife read the thing cover to cover in an hour earlier.
I'll be honest, I didn't get it.
Second goal of this video, please take the clip of him saying, I'll be honest, I didn't get it, and turn it into a meme. It is my favorite line delivery of any movie ever. Fingerling successfully makes her giggle and leaves. Mission accomplished.
And as I exit the building, I figure it's another job well done.
That one's also pretty funny. Maybe use that one too. Fabrizia thinks it's hot and wants to hook up with Fingerling in the blonde's apartment. That's pretty disgusting. I mean, that's Lloyd Christmas. Have some standards. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had fun on your break. Did you get some water or something? After watching some boys run by him in a park at such a specific angle that their jerseys say 23, Walter decides it's time to start investigating the author. Topsy Kretz hasn't written anything before or since, kind of like the screenwriter of this movie. Now he's writing on the walls and sharing it with his family. Pro tip, gamers, when your significant other starts writing on the walls instead of like a notebook, that's when you stage the intervention.
Have you finished the book?
Not yet.
This guy is really struggling to focus on the book he's obsessed with, huh? Apparently the day he met his wife adds up to 23, and they got married on a 23. And those are good things, right? The movie doesn't make the 23 number seem all that bad. It's just like a number that happens a lot. How is this the best screenplay someone ever read? Especially when that person read Bubble Boy. Things continue to escalate until Walter is writing on his wrist. Oh my God, that's 9/11. Ooh, and kill her? Virginia Madsen, you need to get out of there and take Percy Jackson with you. Instead, she sends him to visit her friend Danny Houston, who's a professor of professoring. He makes it worse by dropping more 23s and
2 divided by 3, 0.666. 666.
super helpful, my guy.
And as I exit the building, I figure it's another job well done.
Nothing happens for like another 12 minutes of the movie. Just kind of an escalation for Fingerling and Walter. Eventually, Walter decides to go to a really shitty hotel. Not sure why he chose this one, but he specifically asks for the room 23, which might be interesting. Like, maybe this is showing he's actively searching for it now. Maybe this will be about descents into conspiracy theories and end up as a warning to people to not mess around with them. Whoops, never mind. Fingerling kills Fabrizia, frames her new lover, and checks into a hotel to take the short way down. But it's room 23, so it's probably on the second floor. That's not gonna do it. Not to be a jerk. Also kind of a dick move to do it in a hotel when someone's gonna have to clean that up. Just kind of seems kind of dickish. Thankfully, the dog from the beginning shows up and leads him to the grave of a woman who was murdered and never found. Walter goes to talk to the guy who's in prison for her murder, thinking he wrote the book. Hey Walter, in the book, the guy who was arrested for the murder was framed? The dude isn't into the 23 Enigma, but he does drop this bomb.
If I was to write a book, I wouldn't use a ridiculous name like Top Secrets.
Nobody caught that yet? That's why my pen name is Fremunda D's. Percy Jackson found a P.O. box in the back of the book while he was reading it. Hey, Percy Jackson should not be allowed to read the book about horny detectives who bang at murder-suicide scenes in escalating erotic violence. You're a bad parent. Get him some YA stuff. Maybe about like a Greek demigod kid or something. That sounds more age appropriate. They go confront the guy they think wrote the book, murdered another woman, and framed the guy, and bring Percy Jackson with them. You are terrible parents. That's another dead end in the way that would make me put up another content warning. As that guy's bleeding off screen, Walter seems very concerned.
You hear me? Don't you die.
Walter, please.
He's the only person who can help us get back to normal.
Oh yeah, and, he's a human life. Percy and Walter leave. Percy's definitely gonna need some therapy. Virginia Madsen goes to an abandoned mental institution per the dying dude's request. Meanwhile, Walter starts circling the 23rd word of every 23rd page, which tells him to look under the stairs in a park. It might seem intense to plant secret messages on the 23rd word of every 23rd page, but that's 22 pages that you can write whatever setup you need to. Okay, obviously I don't have the book from the movie. This is the Phantom Toll Booth. It's a children's novel, so the text is pretty big. The book isn't very tall, so the words per page should be pretty low. Still about 210 words per page, which means you'd only hit 9 if you were circling every 23rd word. The message in the book is, visit Casanova Spark. Dig beneath the steps to heaven. I warn you, hell is waiting, Sparrowman. 17 words. Meaning the message is done on page 46, generously. You could give them another 22 pages to wrap things up, but this is still a book with 68 pages at most, and Walter has had 2 full days to read it. Virginia Madsen reading it in like an hour makes sense. Also, as my girlfriend pointed out, at 68 pages with 22 chapters, that's like 3 pages per chapter, at most. Why can't this dude finish the book he's obsessed with faster? He just keeps getting distracted, thinking about 9/11 and going through photo albums. Thankfully, there's a word for people who have to stop reading a book every 5 pages to do side quests, hyper-focus on niche topics, and are really into fun math puzzles. That word is cool. Naturally, he brings Percy Jackson to dig up a dead body, Father of the Year. He literally got a mug saying Father of the Year earlier. After that, they call the cops, though someone's coming. It could be the murderer. They gotta bail. When they come back, the body is gone. Oh no! Turns out Virginia Madsen moved it because, plot twist, Walter wrote the book, and he forgot about it because he took the short way down from the second floor of a hotel. He was in a mental institution for a while. The psychiatrist stole his suicide novella and published it once. 1 copy. He published 1 copy. Then he was so afraid of Jim Carrey, he had to kill himself, I guess, even though he worked with him at the institution and gave him a clean bill of health. So apparently Walter Sparrow has a 2-year memory gap he never brought up during this process. He also never brought it up with his wife, who he's been with for 13 years of lies, his quote, which also means they met 13 years ago. At most, Percy Jackson is 12. So yeah, really bad dad here. It gets even worse with a flashback of him leaving the institution and immediately meet-cuting his wife. She never asked, hey, what were you doing the day we met? Or did he lie to her? This isn't CinemaSins, but like, ding. He checks back into the hotel and finds the 23rd chapter of the book written on the walls. Did he run out of paper? Is he always just running out of paper? This is also for sure the scene he pulled out his dick and peed on set. Like a bad dog. And this guy hates dogs. It's all connected. Virginia chases him down and tells him to kill her, which is the second woman who has done that to Walter now. We all have a type. Instead of killing his wife, he runs out to get hit by a bus in front of his son. Father of the Year. Seriously, so much therapy for this kid. Walter turns himself in so the other guy can go free, and that's the end of the movie. 23 is just a number. Or is it? Because he looks at the clock and it's on a 2 and a 3. What are the odds of that? 12 and 11 add up to 23, so that means 11 and 1255 both count 2, which is 8 times per day. You could also do like 1, 22, 2, 21, 3, 24, 19, 5, 18, 6, 17, 7, 16, 8, 15, 9, 14, 10, 13, 11, 12, and 12, 11, all of which happen twice per day for 32 different 23 times per day. Oh, forgot about the times that add up to 32, add another 24, and of course 5s, 6s, 8s, and 9s, both twice per day. Look, clocks being 23 is easy. It's just a fun math game, Jim. Maybe it's irresponsible to present it as anything deeper. Maybe you should be a little more responsible, Jim.
You know, and I never really got it. I don't think, have you freed the world from sin? I'm still sinning. I mean, I can sin some more, I can sin all I want, I can do anything I want.
Remember pattern recognition and how it leads to some not so great stuff? Well, it turns out it kind of leads to the last 2 years being a repeat of the third last year. I'm talking about the global pandemic. Physicians estimated we would need about 85% of the public to get vaccinated to end the COVID pandemic in the United States, and we didn't come close to that. So now everyone keeps getting COVID. People don't trust vaccines because of anti-vax rhetoric, which is all based on that fun pattern recognition thing. Big long video about it on H Bomber Guy's channel if you like details and British voices, but the short version is kids start showing indications of autism the same age they get vaccinated. Pattern recognition brain activate, along with some help from anti-vax celebrities, and we've got a movement to give people viruses. Celebrities like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey has been anti-vax for a while, and pretty recently as well. In 2015, he shared a picture of a 15-year-old autistic boy without the family's permission, as a way to remind people the horrors of vaccines. The family asked him to take it down, and pointed out that the boy was diagnosed as autistic before the vaccine. Also, super quick, being autistic is better than dying. It's like not even bad. Your brain just works differently. Parents who are willing to risk measles, COVID, or smallpox just so their kid won't be autistic are pretty shitty because being autistic is fine. The most dangerous part of being autistic is that people are shitty to you. We don't need a cure for autism or to create new plagues to prevent it. We just need to listen to autistic people when they tell us how they'd like to be treated, just to normalize it. Also, probably not great to make them superheroes, or rather make autism a superpower. There are so many pieces of media that just have a dude who is contextually or coded as autistic and make them a superhero of intelligence. No, they're just like people who might, I don't know, get obsessed with a math game and want to info dump about it to their family. Actually, Walter Sparrow shows more ADHD tendencies than autism. Like, he reads a chapter of a book and then goes on a side quest to dig through his childhood photo albums. The two aren't mutually exclusive though. I'm basically just saying Walter is probably just neurodivergent, and maybe Jim should have some empathy for the neurodiverse, especially since he took the script because he thought the guy was so much like him. Oh, interesting, dude. Neurodivergent people can also be bad people and pull out their dicks on set without telling people and start peeing everywhere because a number told them to. That actually sounds more like narcissism, though not mutually exclusive from ADHD or autism as well. Anyway, vaccines are good. They're not a ploy to control your brain. That's a weird conspiracy theory that makes way less sense than the real reason the media, the government, and powerful figures are telling you to get vaccinated. The real reason is the pandemic was bad for capitalism. So pandemic, go away. That'd be good. Honestly, a lot of conspiracy theories actually have way more logical explanations that are just capitalism.
Come on, let's play Monopoly.
Look, I didn't want the video to be about this. I'm disappointed we ended up here again too. But yeah, the Illuminati and the number 23 don't rule the world. Corporations do. It seems like there's a shadowy cabal pulling the strings from behind the shadows. You're working too hard to put shadows there. There is a small group of people controlling the world, and it's the heads of corporations. Every time you see a 23 on a license plate or a clock, there are 5 to 10 logos for multi-billion-dollar companies less than 100 feet away from you. It's not subtle. You're watching this on YouTube, maybe on March 23rd, 2023. Hey, March third month of the year, and add that to 20 from 2023. Now there are 3 23s in the date. Wow. You're also watching this video on YouTube and probably got ads for like 3 different companies while watching it. There's a company logo on your computer monitor or on the phone you're watching this in the bathroom, at work. The company you work for controls 20 to 40 hours of your day and might not even be one of the big companies. I live in the Twin Cities. Excel is my only option for electricity, and I still see ads for them. Why? I can't pick anyone else. They have a stadium in downtown St. Paul just because they It can. 23 doesn't control your life. The Illuminati doesn't control your life. Capitalism does. And capitalism promotes conspiracy theories to distract you. Social and corporate media both bump up those engagement numbers with a little conspiracy theory coming along because it's better than realizing that they make money from your life being worse. There is a takeaway from this video. Be wary of conspiracy theories. They ruin a lot of lives and stop you from doing actually productive things that could make your life better. Also, get rabies shots if you get bit by dogs, and don't pull your dick out and pee on stuff at work. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe because I like making fun videos like this. Join my Patreon to give me money. I'll spend it on rent and food. And follow me on Twitch to watch me stream video games.